Welcome to A Guide to Freelance Art for Artists and Employers. My name is Molly Heady-Carroll. It's me. And before I give my presentation, I'd like to give you a bit of background as to who I am. So first of all, I'm an AICS graduate. I graduated from the AICS about 5 years ago. And a couple of months ago, I got my master's degree in video game art. And that might suggest what I do. First off, I am the founder of Warp Zone, which is an organization that does events such as a video game related art show, game jams, and also has a TV show in Amsterdam. And I make games. I make games independently. I make games with my partner Erik van Wees. I make games for companies. I'm with my friends and my family. I'm with the company Arcane Circus. Games, games, games. That's what I'm all about. These are just some of the games that I've worked on in the past. But the thing that takes up the most of my time is freelance. I do freelance assets, characters, animation, promotional art. These are just some of the commercial projects that I was commissioned to work on, both games and animation. Now, freelance is a very hard job, but a very rewarding one, because you get to, as an artist, it's very rewarding because you get to take imaginary creatures and characters and worlds, see what I did there? Imaginary worlds? And make them tangible. And freelance is what I would like to talk to you today. Now, just to clarify, this presentation is not about breaking into the field of freelance or promoting yourself or finding work as a freelancer. Honestly, all of these topics could be a presentation in and of themselves, and I wanted to talk about something a bit different. So now, this presentation is about the relationship between these two individuals here, the freelance artist and the employer who hires the freelance artist. The problem with these two is they don't really get on very well. There's a lot of miscommunication and mistrust and misunderstandings, and it makes being a freelancer very difficult. And as a freelancer, I've noticed things that both parties could be doing to make this relationship work a little bit better. So using my first-hand experience today with this presentation, I'm hoping to bring these guys a little bit closer together. So the structure of this presentation is going to be that I'm going to take you through the entire process of a commission piece. An employer commissioning an artist to do something. This is the process. It starts with project negotiation. So the employer explaining to the artist what it is that they want them to make. Then price negotiation, how much will it cost for the artist to do this? Work in progress, where the artist shows unfinished work and the employer makes sure it's going in the direction they want. And finally, delivery, exchanging payment for the product. And at the very end, I also want to touch on a couple of little common courtesies that would make this go much easier. Just to clarify, I am an artist. So this presentation is very, to the side, biased towards artists. So if it feels like I'm maybe being a bit mean on employers, it's because it's this perspective. But I didn't want to do a presentation today that was just about artists. I felt it was important to give information that was useful both to people who want to be employers and people who want to be artists, or maybe people who already are. So let's get started. Project negotiations. Just have a sip of water, hang on. Project negotiation. Employers, it is very important at this first crucial step that you are very clear to the artist what it is you want. Give them too much information. So what art style do you want it to be? What are the pixel dimensions? What's your budget? Is there a deadline? Is there a particular package or software or file format you want? Or what materials you want used? If it's animated, how many frames does it have? If you don't know something, just ask the artist and maybe you can figure it out together. And if you want to leave something up to the artist, tell them that they have creative liberty in that regard, but also respect what it is that they end up doing. For the artists, help your employer with scale. More often than not, your employer isn't an artist, and they don't necessarily know what is and isn't possible as an artist, but you're the professional and you can help them. I'm going to give you an example from my professional career. I was once asked to do fighting characters for a fighting game, and they wanted the characters to be like Street Fighter. The problem is that Street Fighter characters are very big and very detailed and have a lot of frames of animation, and therefore very expensive. I knew that they would not be able to afford the couple of €1,000 I would have to charge because each character would take me like a month to do. So instead, I told them, well, I could do this, but it will cost this much. However, if you do this style and at this scale, and do it a bit more like this, you'll still get what you want, but for significantly cheaper. You're the professional. You can help your employer get what they want and help them with the scale of the project. Pay negotiation. This is where a lot of those problems come up. Oh my God, okay. Employers, future employers, past employers, whoever you are, just pay your artists. No freebies, no revenue shares, no contests, and only pay the person who wins the contest. If you're doing a Kickstarter campaign and you tell the artist, oh, we can't pay you yet, but we're going to raise 10,000 euros and you'll get all that money for the budget, basically what you're saying is you want this much money. That doesn't mean I'm going to get paid. That's not appealing to me as an artist. It also means I'm taking a risk on your behalf, because, oh yeah, we'll get the money. You can't promise that, so don't promise artists that. Finally, unpaid internships are poisonous. Of course, there are exceptions, but there are way too many companies out there who could easily pay interns in the creative field something for their full-time professional work. But you also have a lot of companies, especially in the games industry, who every 6 months, they get interns in, they don't pay them, after 6 months they get rid of them, and they make money off this cycle of interns work. If any of you out there are ever going to start a company and you hire creative interns, do not do this. It's very damaging to the industry. And you too, artists, don't do this. Don't agree to these terms and conditions. The thing is that a lot of employers, they're not malicious, they're not evil and trying to, gonna scam some artists. No, a lot of them, they just don't know any better. But when you agree to these terms, essentially what you're telling them is that these terms are okay. So don't agree to these terms. Oh yeah, I meant to mention this, hang on. If you're an artist, it's not a hobby, it's a career, and you need to treat it like a career. And since it is a career, being a freelance artist, employers do not contact an artist unless you're serious. Think about how much you're willing to pay, what you want done, and whether or not it's worth the artist's time. I was once asked to do the art assets for an iPad game, like a platform like Mario or something like that. It's like, okay, yeah, okay, what's your budget, what do you want done? And they said, I want 10 backgrounds and 20 characters, and I'll pay you 50 euros. Now let's break that down for a second. That's 30 assets, so that's €1.60 per asset. Each asset would take me about 4 hours to finish. So if you break that down to an hourly rate, I'm getting paid 40 cents an hour. Now that's okay if you're a child in a third world country working in a sweatshop, but that's not the case here. Think about what it is that you're offering, and don't contact us unless you're going to give us a serious offer. Unless you put down serious money, don't expect a serious artist. And our time is so precious, we have so little of it. Work in progress. Employers, it's very understanding, and of course it's the point that you get what it is that you've paid for. But just because you get work in progress doesn't mean you have to give critique. And don't be nitpicky, don't be meddling, and if you do need to give critique, be polite about it. I've had too many employers that I've worked for, once and only once, because they were really rude and really meddling. This doesn't make you look professional, it just makes you annoying and makes people not want to work with you. This is a very important thing for artists, so if you take one thing away, please take this away. If you send an employer artwork that you haven't been paid for yet, protect it. Put a watermark over it, put your logo on it, bring the resolution down so it's unusable to the employer, give them a file format they can't use, or a mixture of these things. Because work gets stolen a lot. It happens all the time that people run away with your art. And if you give them the opportunity, you kind of got no one to blame but yourself. So always protect work that hasn't been paid for yet, even if they ask. I have sometimes people, oh, can you give us the assets so we can start programming? Not until you pay me, because you can just run away with it. Delivery. Remember that mistrust I was talking about earlier? A lot of it comes from this step. And the reason it comes from this step is because this is the point where one person can scam the other. The artist can run away with the payment, and the employer can run away with the art. And it's tricky to find a system that works in both people's benefit, but this is the system I use and might be beneficial to you guys out there. So first off, you show works in progress, protected with watermark. They give feedback, they make sure it's going in the right direction. If it's a very long project, they may pay you in between just to show that you are going to get paid in the end, but eventually it gets approved. Bing, approved. First, the employer gives the artist the payment, and then the artist exchanges unprotected, completed work. The reason this system works is because it means that the employer isn't getting anything they can use until they pay for it, but also the employer knows that the artist has finished the work, because I wouldn't spend 10 hours working on art for your game and then not send it. It doesn't make sense. So I find this is the best way to protect both parties. So at the end of the process, I'm going to cover just a couple more courtesies at the end of this. Darling employers, if there's one thing I could say in this presentation, answer your damn emails. Answer your damn emails. I'm very empathetic, I can understand. If you decide to go with another artist, or they're too expensive or something, and you have to tell them, oh, maybe you're hurting their feelings, I get that, but it is significantly ruder and significantly more inconveniencing for the artist to just cease communication. And this is why. Freelance artists very frequently have to work on a lot of projects at the same time. I can be working on 6, 8, maybe even 10 projects all in the same week. So I have to be very careful with my planning and my schedule. And if I'm waiting for an email from you, I need to keep my schedule open. And it's a lot of work, and it's a big effort that could have been avoided if you just sent me an email. So answer your damn emails, employers, please. Our time is so little and so precious. Don't waste it. And for the artists, have patience and explain things to your employer. Like I said, most employers, they're not artists, and you are the professional, so of course you know your field best. If you'll have employers who ask for a ridiculous high quality thing in a ridiculous deadline for ridiculous pay, and like I said, often it's just because they don't know what is and isn't possible. And if you explain why something isn't possible and what's a better way of doing things, it's beneficial for both of you, because it means that employer will never ask an artist to do that ever again. So artists won't be treated that way, but also the employer will be able to get what they need from artists from then on. So we're reaching the end of my presentation now. To conclude, the ideal employer pays fair, is clear on what they want, and only provide critique when it's needed. The ideal artist is versatile, both creatively and in their scheduling, must be highly self-motivated and disciplined, and must be a great communicator. My final note for this presentation, and the thing I'd like to end on, is be nice. This is the thing, we're not enemies. There's a mutual benefit between we, the artists, and you, the employer. And if we were just, the thing is, freelance is so difficult. It's such a hard job. I am so lucky to be able to be doing this. And it could be so much easier if people were just a bit more honest, a bit more fair, and a bit more understanding. There's a lot of people in this audience now who are very young. You're probably nearly done with school, and you're gonna go to college, and you're gonna grow up, and you're gonna start companies and become artists. And I'm sure people watching the stream, the same thing. The thing is that you are the future. If you adopt these practices and just try to be a little bit nicer to one another, you can make freelance for you a significantly easier career to get into. So be nice. Thank you.